From baseball's top personalities,
the great Chris Russo joins us once again,
to the game's top players.
Joining us is the All-Star, Matt Chapman with us.
You never know what stories you're going to hear.
If you make your way down here, I might be able to make some time and go out there and see the great Chris Townsend.
This is A's Unfiltered with Chris Townsend.
Welcome to another edition of A's Unfiltered with Chris Townsend. The number one pick out of Thousand Oaks, Max Muncy, is going to join us. Scott Emerson will sit down with Roxy Bernstein. And then Mark Kotze, your third base coach, will be with us as he joined us on A's Cast Live. But we'll start with the high school shortstop that went in the first round to your Athletics. We have Max with us now here on A's Cast Live. And I got to tell you, Max, one of the honors I've had in my career for many, many years is I'm always the first radio/streaming interview, and I've interviewed so many first-round picks, and I know what this day means for you, for your family. Just tell us what this experience has been like.
Yeah, it's definitely been surreal. Coming out here, I think that there's a moment when you get drafted and you kind of figure it's real, but it doesn't really sink in until you're on the field and you're in the A's jersey. Yeah,
and you're out here, next thing you know, everybody's looking at you, right? And you know when you're taking ground balls or you're in the cage, you know everybody's eyes are on you, right?
That's kind of how it's been a little bit this year. It feels like they're on you. They're not on you as much as you think they are. I think you kind of, when you're out there, you think everyone's looking at you. But I kind of learned, just kind of play your game and do your thing, and it's kind of work itself out.
How much fun was it getting in that cage in a big league stadium and taking BP?
I think that was great. I think the best part was, talking to those guys, so knowledgeable and so many things that they told me, just to help me starting out, small things, little pieces of advice.
Yeah, and I saw you go over to Mark Kotze. Both you guys are from Southern California. He was a great player at Cal State Fullerton, and that's kind of been one thing that's always been great about the first-round draft picks in the A's is all these guys are here to help you and give you knowledge because you're going to be in camp with these guys relatively soon. Just tell us what it was like, what some of the guys kind of passed along to you.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys that just say, obviously they've been through it. That's how they got here, and they just tell me, enjoy it. I told the guys in there it's kind of like growing up a little bit. You want to be an adult, you want to be an adult. I mean, you want to get to the big leagues, but they just told me, your time down there, enjoy it and just live it up.
And who was all with you down here when you were taking pictures?
That's my family. Got both my parents and all three sisters here with me.
Yeah, and I tried to say it, and a lot of people may not understand. You got to be the oldest, right? I'm the second oldest, so okay. I have an older sister and two younger. So your parents dragged them all around all these games, and probably some of the games they wanted to be at, probably some of the games like we got to go watch it again. So it's just not the parents; it's your sisters too. It's been a team effort. Talk about that to get you to this point.
Yeah, I think they've been so supportive. Obviously, there's times where, Dad's going to be mad with your performance and Mom's going to be fed up. But I think the sisters have been super supportive, nothing but love. I know they're always there for me. After a game, I can always go to them and, they're going to be my rock.
You guys are a generation, and we're all have been a part of COVID-19. The shutdown of the baseball season. We only had 60 games. I know a lot of high school seasons were shut down. What happened to you guys down at Thousand Oaks when COVID hit?
Yeah, so obviously it was a big shutdown. Gyms were closed and everything. So, we tried to keep in contact with the team as much as we could. Obviously, we knew there was a chance we were going to play, so we were trying to keep it rolling. We were off to a good start last year, 8-0. So, we tried to keep that same energy, and it was hard at some points, but just to remain in contact and, grab a few guys and sneak on the field when you could to get work was important. Obviously, it transitioned to this season.
So, I think you guys were like 29-1.
Yeah.
Was that a full season for you guys?
Yeah, usually you'll play 30 games in a season and then 5 or 6 playoff games. So that was including playoffs. So, we only got snubbed 6 games, which is, remarkable how we could get that done.
Yeah, I felt so bad for the seniors, right, who didn't get to have their full senior year. And then were you ever worried about this hurting your draft? Obviously you're number 25 in the first round. You're fine. But were you ever worried that the shutdown could affect your draft status?
At one point you are a little nervous, but I think, there's only so much you can think about it. There's only so much you can be concerned. I had a great thing at Arkansas. So I was excited to go there, but, obviously it worked out here. So
And when I think about, you're drafted by Billy Beane. I mean, you know all about, I'm sure you've seen Moneyball.
20 times, yeah.
And you think about David Forrest, who's been around here for all this time. What's it like to be drafted by the A's? And also you see the great history of this franchise.
Yeah, the history is amazing. Especially, I watched Moneyball maybe 2 days after I got drafted. Just to hear those names and then come out here and meet them in person, it's wild. I think one of the head scouts, the scene where they fire the head scout and then they hire the main one, I talked to him when I was here and I just put 1 and 2 together. And I was like, can't believe that, that was you in that situation.
Yeah, there's quite a few of these guys that were like, that was you in the movie.
Yeah.
When they talk to you, what exactly did they say about, shortstop? Did they see you being able to play different positions as you get older? I mean, obviously you got good size to you.
Yeah, so I think, it's honestly up to them wherever they want to move me. They told me they think I got a chance to stay at short, so they're going to give me the opportunity, and then, if they need to move me over, that's their call. Whatever's fine with me.
Coco Crisp was a longtime outfielder for us, and who also lived in Los Angeles. And he said the thing that he loved, not only about the history and everything about the franchise, was that it was so close for his family. You're just a quick Southwest flight away. Have you talked about that with your family and how great that we know when you get here to the big leagues, you're going to be so close to home?
Yeah, I think all levels have benefits. Arizona, I got a bunch of buddies at ASU that I played high school ball with, so I'll be close there. And then, the Vegas level, I got family in St. George, Utah, so that's an hour drive. And then, hopefully I make it up here. My family can make this trip fairly easily. I got friends at Berkeley, friends at Stanford. So, I'm going to be close to a lot of people, so I think that support group is going to be very strong.
Well, I got to tell you, when you wear that uniform, it's one of the most distinct uniforms in the game. When you're watching the Oakland Athletics, and by the way, you look great in white.
I appreciate that.
Hey, go be with your family. Thank you for coming on, and hopefully you and I are doing this for years to come.
I hope so, too.
Oh, by the way, the whole Max Muncy thing blew us away. You have the same birthday as Max. We're like, Max Muncy, and we saw that and went, wow. Obviously, being in Southern California, you know a lot about Max Muncy.
Yeah, I'm surprised it took you that long to mention that. Usually that's the first thing that comes up. It's definitely wild. There's a lot of, I had a person after the draft come up to me, and they're like, did you know you had the same birthday? I was like, dude, I've been hearing this for, years now.
Yeah.
I know. I get texts all the time. Well, it's great, though.
Yeah, go enjoy it with your family. You earned this day with them, and thank you so much, and we'll be talking a lot throughout the years.
Thank you, guys.
That's your first-round draft pick for the Oakland Athletics. This kid is super athletic. He is going to be good, and always good. Scott Emerson sits down with Roxy Bernstein.
A's Cast Live, we continue getting ready for the first game of the quote-unquote second half tonight. The Cleveland Indians hit the Coliseum to open up play, a 3-game set tonight at 6:40. Roxy Bernstein in for Chris Townsend here on A's Cast Live, and we're joined by the pitching coach for the Oakland A's, Scott Emerson, joining us. And Emo, how was your break?
Oh, it was great. Got to go home and spend some time with the wife and dog, and it was, it was a much-needed rest, but ready to get back into it and get after this second half.
It seemed like for everybody involved, Scott, that the break came at a good time. You got some momentum, a feel-good series after dropping the first one in Texas, then winning the last two. Was your read the same, that the All-Star break came at a good time for this team to recharge the batteries?
Yeah, I think so. We've been dealing with some, nagging injuries on some guys, and our pitching staff has been going, full throttle since the start of the year. Our starters, much well-deserved rest for them. And, for our bullpen guys as well. So, recharges the batteries. I know everybody's anxious to get back and going. This is what we love to do, and I'm excited for us in the second half.
I know that heading into the Texas series that it had not gone great as far as the overall record of the team and going winless in 6 series until winning the series against Texas. But I think one constant has been your starting pitching, even though in the way the series had gone, the starting pitching was still pretty good for the most part. Are you happy with the way the guys are working right now and feeding off one another?
Yeah, you look up and, the guys are getting their innings in. They're competing well. They're keeping us in ball games. It's not like, we've been blown out and have to take the starter out in the first 2 innings. These guys go out, they compete their butts off. They work hard, and they've done a great job, at last I looked, we were up there in innings pitched per starter for the starters and decisions also. So our guys are staying out there a long time. And, in my opinion, that's what good starters do. They take the ball and they go as hard as they can, as long as they can. And hopefully they can keep that momentum going into the second half.
Emo, there's been a lot of pleasant surprises when you look around the roster and some of the contributions that the team is getting. Certainly on the offensive side, guys like Jed Lowry and the season that he's putting together. But from your pitching staff, I got to see Cole Irvin pitch quite a bit in college at the University of Oregon, and it, for whatever reason, just wasn't comfortable, didn't work out with the Phillies. But it seems coming over here has rejuvenated him. What have you seen from him in his progress, and are you surprised at the production and the consistency that he's given you?
Well, when I look at a pitcher and I look at their data and their analytics and talking to the pitcher about what he likes to do when, sometimes teams or organizations take away a certain pitch. Sometimes for me, it takes away their confidence. And, I try to allow these guys to use the stuff that they're confident with and, bringing Cole's sinker back into play. As a starting pitcher, the changeup is always important, for timing reasons and disruption of timing. So, having him have the ability to just go out and pitch, sometimes we're in this reliever stage where, everybody says, okay, you're now a reliever. Because it did happen to me. Let's ditch the two-seamer. Let's throw the four-seamer as hard as you can, and let's try to spin a breaking ball as hard as you can as well. And sometimes that's just not what guys are capable of doing. The technology sometimes brings out, if you can do this. And it brings out the theoretical aspect of pitching, but not the practical part of pitching. And the practical part for me is take the data and use that to what the pitchers can and can't do. And I think Cole's getting back to the things that he was confident in college, and we're confident in him in doing those things. And that's sinking the baseball, changing speeds with that good changeup, and locating. When you're throwing hard, location is always going to suffer. And because of that, maybe overthrow on some guys. And I think maybe in Philadelphia, he overthrew the baseball a little bit because, Velo was a big part of the bullpen, and that was just not his game. So, coming over here and allowing him to, pitch his game, use his arsenal, but also teach him how to use his arsenal and what your arsenal is, in my opinion, has been good for him.
He's made 18 starts. He's taken every turn. He's got an ERA just over 3.5 and has been consistent. What were your expectations, Emo, coming into the season for him and after bringing him over from Philly and watching him progress through the spring?
Well, like you said, he's throwing the ball real well. I guess my expectations were, let's see if this guy can make the team, or make the starting rotation. We gave him every bit of opportunity in spring training to do that, and he took advantage of his opportunities. And you look up and he's on the opening day roster as a starter, and he's taken initiative of what he has to do and responsibility, and it's really fun to watch and see.
Well, speaking of fun to watch, is Scott Emerson with us here on A's Cast Live. We got to see Chris Bassett in the All-Star game, and I know what a big deal it was. He's broken down so many barriers personally this year, that shutout, and certainly that was emotional, meant so much to him. But now going to the All-Star game, and look, not a lot of guys, Emo, would have pitched on Sunday and pitched as tremendously as he did, going 7 innings, giving up just a run on 4 hits, and then turn around 2 days later and pitch in the All-Star game. But that goes to show you the character and what it meant to Chris Bassett. What were your emotions like as somebody who's helped develop this guy and work with him to get to this level and see him flourish and be an all-star?
Well, first of all, there was no doubt really in my mind that Bassett would go to the All-Star game and want to pitch. He's a great teammate. He's a great leader. He leads by example. And the competitiveness of him wanting to go to this All-Star game and pitch. And I personally agree with him. Somebody puts you on the All-Star team on 1 day's rest, and I know he made a comment. He pitched because he never knew if he was going to get back there again. I would have done the same thing. I've learned a long time that the responsibility on pitchers pitching on 1 day's rest should fall on the coach's hands, not the players' hands, because the players are always going to say yes, or most of them. The good ones are going to say yes because they want to pitch. And so it didn't surprise me that Chris pitched on one day's rest. And it was fun to see.
Well, coming back from the injury like he did in 2018 and 2019, I thought Emo took a huge step forward. When did you see this trajectory for Chris Bassitt that he was going to elevate his game to become one of the top pitchers in the American League?
I think, he's always had that swing role, whether he's a starter on the team or he's a reliever. But when he accepted the fact that that was his role, I think that's when he could breathe a little bit and, become the pitcher that he is today. So many guys, have a routine and a plan, and they can't break the routine. If the routine is different, it's tough on them. But Bassitt, I think, put into his mind, you tell me when to pitch, I'll just go out there and pitch. And so I think at the around 19, you started seeing that okay, this guy is all about the team and all about winning and all about pitching. And then, as you know, when he came into 20, we still didn't know if he was going to be a starter or not. And then all of a sudden, he takes it and runs with it. But what I really like about Bassitt now in his game is the ability to hit areas of the zone in his bullpen sessions. At some point in time, he's always been that great game competitor who goes out there and competes. But I think now he's got such a much better idea of what he's doing with his baseball. He can create movement. He can make up something in the bullpen. Let me try this and it have some use to it. So if he gets out in the game and he doesn't feel good about a certain pitch, he can make a minor adjustment to a grip or to a release point and feel confident in that. And that's like pitching. That's like, in the backyard and you're playing a wiffle ball game and you're creating. And, guys out there that know how to pitch, you look at Greinke. He changes speeds. He might change a little arm angle, but he'll throw that breaking ball 58 miles an hour, and then he'll throw a hard one at 72. I mean, it's just he's got that ability now to be creative. And I think that's kind of when you start looking around going, this guy's pretty dang good.
Well, speaking of being creative and working on stuff, all of a sudden the slider is now back in his arsenal. What was the thought process to reintroducing that into his arsenal out there on the mound?
Well, we've always tried to work a slider off his cutter. And, for some reason it just wasn't happening where we couldn't gain enough tilt or a horizontal break to it. So we kind of started at the beginning of the year working his slider off his curveball, making his curveball a little harder shape. You see now he throws, that he's got, now he's got breaking balls between 68 and 84. So there are three different shapes to his breaking ball. So we were able to get back to getting that cutter to get some tilt this year, kind of probably just a month ago. And now that he's added some tilt to that cutter, it's turned into a pretty good slider. So, like I said, that's the creative part that Chris has been able to do over the last year and a half. And I think it's working out for him.
Indians in town as the second half starts tonight at the Coliseum. Roxy Bernstein with you here on A's Cast Live, and Scott Emerson, the pitching coach of the Athletics, with us. And Emo, heading into the break, I have to assume that the outing that Frankie Montas had to wrap up that series in Houston really has to give him a good feeling heading into the second half. What was different in that start against Houston that you noticed?
Well, it's that ability to land that second pitch or have that consistent, release to where he knew where that second pitch was going. And that day was a split. In 19, when he's had such a great year for us, and I know it was cut short, but he had that ability to throw that split at any time in the count. And that goes back to if hitting's time and pitching is disruption of timing. And, he's been in the 50s with both off-speed pitches percentage-wise, where in the past he's been in the 60s percentage-wise. So now you don't just have to throw fastballs and fastball counts. You got the ability to use other pitches and mix it up and throw it for a strike. And that's key for every pitcher. But in that Houston game, you know, like you said, he had that second pitch going, that split. He had an idea of where it was going. He could land it inside the strike zone or could use it for a chase pitch. And that was very important for him in 19. And hopefully we can build off that pitch and continue that in the second half.
Yeah, last Thursday in his win against Houston, 6 2/3 innings of five hits allowed, 1 run, 10 strikeouts for him. And is that something that you view that, okay, the confidence is back with Frankie, that this could be a real springboard for him and could be a huge boost for us in the second half?
Yeah, you know, we all know Frankie's got electric stuff. But, you know, on paper, that's one thing. And in the game, that's another. You got to go out there. You got to pitch. You got to look at the counts. You got to look at the scoreboard. You got to look at the hitter. And then you got to go out and execute those pitches. And, you know, that game in Houston, he did that. And in most of 19, he did that. And, you know, we need Frankie to come out and have the ability to keep doing that. And that'll take our pitching staff even to a whole nother level.
Speaking of bringing it on the pitching staff, I've been so happy for James Caprillion. I've known him since his college days, and look, those were the toughest days maybe of his life, considering what his mom was dealing with and ultimately succumbing to cancer when he was pitching at UCLA. So I've seen the progression. Then he has the setbacks with surgery, and he essentially lost 3 seasons as he was trying to develop as a pitcher. When you watch him now, what are you seeing from James Caprillion? Because just everything I see, it's his presence, his command, that he's got the makeup to really be, I think, a top-level pitcher.
Yeah, you know, James, comes from UCLA, highly touted prospect, first-round pick. I mean, we traded Sonny Gray for him. I think he's done an outstanding job. You know, probably a little bit over my expectations as of, just seeing him over the last couple of years throwing bullpens. But bullpens are a lot different than games. In the bullpen, you never really get to see what this guy is truly made of. And in the game, James goes out there, he's prepared, he competes. He does remind me a little bit about Bassett. He's a bulldog out there. He wants the baseball. He's coming after you. He's got a good idea what he wants to do. And his pitches, in my opinion, keep getting better and better. And his fastball command keeps getting better and better. So, like you said, I think this guy, is going to be a good force in this league. And he's just got to continue to do the things that he's doing to keep getting better and better.
We're basically doing the state of the pitching staff heading into the second half here with Scott Emerson and A's Cast Live. Run through the stars. We didn't get to Sean and I can't really get to everybody. But as far as the bullpen goes, heading into the second half, the reemergence of Lou Trevino. And he had his struggles a couple of seasons ago. Looked like he started to turn the corner last year, and this year has become just a dominant force at the back end of your bullpen. What are you seeing with Lou Trevino that has turned him back into the pitcher that showed flashes when he first appeared in 2018?
I think, always it's confidence. When guys are pitching good and their confidence is high, keep riding the wave, right? I guess that's one of our slogans. So, Lou's kind of one of those guys that has been streaky in the past, and now I think he's getting mature enough to understand what he has to do to get his outs. I think he's pitching a little bit more with his other pitches, which I like a lot, and not just relying on his cutter. And he wants the ball. He wants to be good. He's fun to be around. He'll tell you, and we always, talk about, he's a little stubborn, which is fine. That, that tells me that guys have a plan and have a plan of action. But I think he's also listening a little bit more to what we have to say to help him get better. And he's just doing a great job this year. And like I said, that confidence is good to where you can ride that wave out.
Speaking of pitchers that are on a roll, Sergio Romo got off to a little bit of a rocky start, but the last 3 weeks, month, he has been sensational. He's gotten out of jams. He's made some big pitches for you out of the bullpen. Are you noticing anything different? Is he doing something that maybe he wasn't doing earlier in the year that's allowed him to have this much success recently? Why he's been so valuable for you recently?
Well, I think if you kind of just go back and look at the path of Romo coming to the organization, he was a late sign. maybe early February or late January, and maybe not doing as much in the off season to prepare because he really didn't know what type of season, even if he was going to have a contract with somebody. Gets to spring training, we kind of get him get him close to being where he needs to be. Then with the COVID rules, he goes home and has his 5th child and has to sit out a few more days to because of the protocols and get back into the bubble or whatever we had going on. And then, so I think in my opinion, you're seeing a guy who's finally in shape, in major league pitching shape. And what comes with that is a guy that's going to, hopefully continue to go out and do the things he's been doing and get the ball in crunch time, So, Sergio comes with a lot of pedigree around the league from what he's done in the past. He wants to do so good for his legacy that he's going to work as hard as he can. And that's what Sergio has been doing since he's been here. But I think now you're just seeing better results because he's in better major league shape.
Emo, they don't do it in the same fashion. There's some similarities in the way they pitch. I'm talking about Romo and Yusmeiro Petit. But it's almost like you have two options there because Yusmeiro comes in and gets you out of any jam you need. He is just phenomenal doing that. But that's a specialty of Romo also. So how much of a luxury is it for you having two guys that really are comfortable when most pitchers run from those type of scenarios?
Oh, I think it's a huge luxury, guys that have the ability to get you out of a jam. But, sometimes you get out what you put in, and those two guys put in a lot of hard work to be where they are and to be sustainable over their career. You look at the big velo guys, which, it would be great to have big velo and command, but, command is always important in the big leagues. You got to be able to throw the ball where you need it. Every hitter has a weakness. Can we exploit their weakness? And that's something that, those guys with command have the ability to do. And, I think it's just great to have guys that know how to pitch and get yourself out of the jam.
Well, Emo, it's great to have you on A's Cast Live. I'm so excited for the second half to get going and a pennant rush and a pennant race coming up. And it's great to be in the thick of things again. So appreciate your time and see you at the ballpark. Have a great second half.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me.
Love me some Emo on A's Cast Live. Mark Kotze also stopped by because we had to ask him about Shohei Ohtani, and he was Shohei Ohtani in college at Cal State Fullerton. Here's Kotze. Well, how are you? It's been a while.
It has been a while, Tony. It's good to see you on the field, buddy.
Yeah, it's great to be back. It's weird having been not around you guys for so long and, talking to players, just talking to Sean Manaea. I think for everybody to kind of start seeing each other again is kind of healthy.
Yeah, we get reacclimated with each other, right? But, yeah, human contact, human face-to-face interviews is a lot better than doing over Zoom, I think.
No doubt about it. So how's third base been for you?
Well, as you know, it's engaging. It's playing the game. And, I think overall it's been a great experience. I'm learning every day. And, I'm thankful to have this opportunity and be down here on the field with these guys.
I don't think people realize how much you need to study because you need to know everybody's arms. You need to know your player's speed and how aggressive they are. Just talk about the amount of work you got to put in to be a third base coach.
Yeah, there's a lot of work. There's a lot of preparation. As you talk about, knowing the outfilders as well as knowing our base runners and their speed, what they can do going first to home, what they do second to home, their turns, their lines going down, third base. And as you said, we're an aggressive mentality. I think that's the way I played the game. It's kind of the way I coach the game at third base. I do take chances, but they're all calculated. And it's not just let's just take a chance here because, we're gambling. It's a long thought process before the pitch occurs. It's, who's on deck, how many outs there are, where we are at in the game, how our offense has been performing. So all those factors are weighed in when I make a decision. It's not just a quick draw.
Well, then you got to throw in the ballpark factors. Every ballpark's different. All the corners are different. The bounces are different. How do you know what to do with each ballpark? Do you go out early and maybe hit balls into the wall, or what do you do?
No, I think for the most part I've played in every ballpark, so that gives me a little bit of a head start in understanding the corners. Being an outfielder also gives me a head start into how aggressive outfielders play. Whether an outfielder takes a fly ball and is disciplined enough to get behind it when he comes through to get some leverage when he's trying to throw a runner out who's tagging. So it's instinct too, and I think my instincts take over and I make decisions, as I said, with the information that I have pre-pitch and with my instincts as to whether or not we're going to take a chance in a situation to be aggressive or to stay at third.
So I say it all the time on the show, and I'm kind of biased, but I think you're arguably the greatest college baseball player of all time. And it's not just because of what you did offensively, which got you to be the #1 overall pick, but a lot of people don't know what you did as a center fielder, as a closer. When we played against you, you'd go 4 for 5, hit a 2-run bomb, and then you'd come in and you'd close the games out at Fullerton. When I think about the guy out there today, Shohei Ohtani, you had that skill set. When you look back now, do you think you could have done reliever, hitter at the big league level?
I wish I could say yes, but no. To be honest, I think the demand here at this level is one that really puts a toll on your body. You need to be physical, and Shohei's physical. He's big, he's got strength, and I think overall he can handle it. And I think part of it, the starting pitching gives him an opportunity to rest his arm, to maintain his arm as well when he gets to do a bullpen session. So for me in college, when I'd come out of center field and go close a game, I didn't have the luxury of days off. I still had to make outfield throws aggressively. I still had to play catch in between innings and not be able to manage how much I used my arm. And I think they're doing a great job with him in managing that.
Yeah, people don't realize you came in 1, 2, 3 blowing people away. There's a reason why you were the Golden Spikes Award winner, and I just think that I don't know. I would have liked to see if you got an opportunity to do it. If there would have been a way to manage the load. I know center fielder, you're making a lot of throws, deep throws, but it would have been interesting.
Yeah, it would have been fun. Believe me, there's not a day that goes by I wish I didn't toe the rubber. Even as a position player coming in a blowout game, I had one opportunity when I was with San Diego in September. I had hurt my right hand, so I wasn't hitting, but I could play defense because I could throw. And it was late in the game. We were getting blown out, and Boach said, "Hey, go warm up." And I threw about 5 pitches, and I mean, the adrenaline was crazy. I was so pumped up. And then, of course, an inning double play, right before I get my chance of pitching inning in the big leagues. But it would have been fun. And as you say, like maybe I could have, been a left-handed reliever and just been utilized out of the outfield or in game situations with the matchup.
I think about when guys start to press and when the team's not hitting with runners in scoring position, everybody knows what's going on, right? What can you do to help some of these guys to get them back on track? Because it's not early anymore. I mean, before you know it, we're going to be in August.
Yeah, no question. We go through droughts like this. As we started out in one. We started out in a funk where we went 0-6 and people weren't hitting the panic button, especially us in the clubhouse. We realize this is a tough stretch. We realize we're grinding. And I think the biggest thing for us to do is just to relax if we can, but focus on competing. So competing, just go up there and compete, and hopefully good things happen.
I talk about all the time, whether it's in the talk show or the post-game show, where I say, sometimes guys make contact. You put the ball in play, you never know what can happen. I mean, there was a wild play with the Pirates and the Mets yesterday. I mean, just put the ball in play, and good things can happen. Put some pressure on the defense.
Oh, that's right, and like you said, the game has evolved, and there's a lot of value based on home runs and walks that have been emphasized in today's game. So, as a hitter, when you've got runners in scoring position, as you said, you put the ball in play and good things can happen. And we've seen that this year. We've done that this year. And this is just a stretch where we're going through a tough period of time. And, we need to get back to the basics, as you talk about, and utilize the other side of the field and make contact.
Let's end on this. How important is it for this team to get better in division and rack up more wins in division?
Well, everyone knows that. It's common sense that we need to win games in our division, and we start here with the Angels now. We've got the Mariners as we go up for the weekend, so we got a good week in front of us to make some ground, and and win some ball games.
Well, it's great to see you. It really is, and it's great to be back on the field, and we always appreciate the time. Get well, because I know being sick stinks, especially when you're traveling, but thanks for the time, and we'll talk soon.
All right, thanks, Tony.
We'd like to thank Max Muncy, Scott Emerson, and Mark Kotze for all stopping by A's Unfiltered. Now back to A's Cast, powered by iHeartRadio.
This has been a presentation of the Oakland Athletics.